People really shipped a child with a trillion-year-old Dorito, and it's still not even in the top 10 weirdest things to come out of Gravity Falls, though it's up there. Gravity Falls is one of the shows that is so good, even the most passive people in the world will bully you into watching it. It's definitely one of the modern greats filled with fun, mystery, heart, and nightmares that are better left unmentioned, and also ships. As yeah, popular show x young fan base equals aggressive shipping. The math adds up, and I really wish it didn't, cause now I gotta talk about one ship in particular. The one that managed to be both the most hated thing on the internet and also the most popular ship on AO3. You know it, you hate it, it's Bill Cipher x Dipper. Yeah, this is exactly what you think it is. The internet really hooked up a demon from the second dimension with an actual child, so we do have to talk about it. As Bill Dip is the kind of ship that keeps me up at night, as just why? We have so many legal options. Why? Why did this have to be one of the most popular pairings? I'm not gonna throw complete side-eye at any fandom that's mostly children, but this is also the same fandom where Dipper x Maple, the siblings, is the third Google option when you look it up. Clearly, we're starting this video in the gutter, so the rest of it is just gonna be explaining how we got here. As Bill Cipher x Dipper existing, it doesn't surprise me people have found ways of shipping humans with paint. Anything is possible, but it's the popularity of it that blows me away. So I had to figure this thing out. Who's involved? What's the appeal? Why is Bill Cipher a human so often? All these questions and more are gonna get semi-revealed, along with the fact that the main conceit of this video just might be a lie. So let's talk ship.
Hey, look what I can do! Deer teeth!
Alright, before we set sail to the bottom of the ocean, we gotta explain the who before getting into the why. As if you take things on face value, you won't get why this ship is as contentious as it is. You know, besides the PDF thing. So let's start with the boy.
Can't you just walk up and talk to her like a normal person?
Step 9, sister.
Dipper is the kind of kid every introvert can relate to. No, not the smart part. I mean confusing being mature with being grumpy. Kid hates the fact that he's a kid trapped in that pre-teen hell of being little and knowing it. Dipper comes into the show with a small chip on his shoulder that he has manifested into feeling like a mountain. Dipper hates the fact that he got sent to Gravity Falls so that his parents can stop using their indoor voices to argue. Trapped what he thinks is just a creepy uncle and a goofy sister, Mr. High Horse changed his tune real quick when he realized that this town is weird as fuck. And he's into that. Dipper is obsessed with the paranormal. If he were in another cartoon, he'd be in Mystery Inc. He'd be a YouTuber, he'd be a MatPat clone no one watched. But hey, he's excited to be here now. An older girl is giving him the time of day and he starts beefing with a loser. Dipper is pretty much locked in for the summer till he gets derailed by reality, as he's trapped in his own head and overthinking everything till he does nothing or does it poorly. Dipper is a great lead. He's that sympathetic portrayal of a kid who thinks he's hot shit because he's smart at something but clearly out of his depth outside of his special interests. He craves the validation and approval of pretty much every authority figure that he likes, be it the liar pretending to be his brother or the tad up older kids who definitely aren't just drinking pop. Dip, more than just wanting to be seen as a big kid, wants to be acknowledged and accepted, hence why he wastes so much of his summer contorting himself and his interests to be something that he's not. Dipper captures early teen angst perfectly. A little too well if you ask me.
So here's a casual question. What's your favorite type of snack food?
Oh man, I can't just pick one.
No way, mine too.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Dipper's love life is a train wreck. Most of it centers around his one-side obsession with Wendy. It's realistic, so I hate it. 10 out of 10, never again. His go-to ship is with Pacifica based on one episode and them both being single. It's actually pretty cute. While Mabel is definitely the more love-obsessed of the two, having many love interests. Those are mostly one-offs that get played as a joke, while Dipper's crush on Wendy is treated way more seriously. So, shipping around him ends up being more focused. More obsessive. The show is dangling the bait that something might happen to him, so people have more incentive to get engaged and talk about who it should be. Well, Mabel, it's like twee girl summer. She's gonna have a new man by Tuesday. There's no real incentive to be in the trenches, especially when Pacifica started getting paired with Dipper. And let me just double check something. And yeah, Mabel X's first Google search is Dipper, because of course it is. Dipper, he's the character most invested in the plot and some of the more obvious moments of growth in the series. He's a fan fave and didn't cause Armageddon, so him being shipped with every person that so much looks at him doesn't surprise me. I'd expect nothing less from a popular show with a mainly young fan base. But then there's the triangle.
Question mark, shooting star, pine tree. I had a hunch I might bump into you.
Bill is basically evil Bugs Bunny. He's an interdimensional demon who's just here to have a good time and doesn't value human life, which is a problem. Bill is kind of the perfect villain for a kid's show. Yes, we love an obviously evil villain, but there's just something so fun about a character who looks like they couldn't even make it onto your mom's refrigerator, turning out to be genuinely terrifying. Bill pretty much has two modes, yucking it up and nightmare fuel. He's a guy who seems wacky and fun till you recognize that he can and will do whatever he wants, with him explicitly getting his sick kicks from terrorizing those around him. He's not an unaware god either. He's doing this shit intentionally. Combine all this with the fact that he is fiendishly clever. Bill isn't some 10-head master manipulator, but he knows how to be at the right place at the right time and to be making the right offer. If we can fault him with anything, it's that he supports crypto. But besides that, he is just a great villain you love to hate. He is the right blend of random and charisma, with him going from a random side villain to the big bad of the series, responsible for pretty much everything that wasn't the beef between siblings, and we love him. Bill is great. He's also like 1 trillion years old. Don't worry, we'll get to that. But to get into why people like this ship, I think it's a combo of a couple things, with a couple tricks being used to make it slightly more palatable. First on the list, enemies to lovers.
I hate you too.
I hate you more.
I hate you the most.
I hate you forever.
This trope is basically shipping crack. Doesn't matter how bad the couple is, if they start hating each other, there'll be someone in the back wondering, yeah, but what if they kissed? It's a trope so many stories now tell that it's basically rotted into our brains till we think about it even when the material doesn't even present it that way. It's just a fact of life. And it makes the most sense that this would be with Dipper versus pretty much every other character in the show. Dipper, throughout the series, has been the one most obsessed with the mystery/plot of Gravity Falls. He and his sister are the de facto main characters of the show, with his focus on the plot, making him the one who is the most easy to imagine being against Bill, who again is the main villain of the series. If you want to imagine a scenario where someone is fighting Bill, Dipper is the one taking the most steps to stop him. So if you want to give Bill a rival, Dipper kinda fits that bill, mainly because people are cowards and won't use Ford. Helping this idea of Bill and Dipper having beef is that the early 2 episodes of Bill Cipher being around do semi-center around Dipper. The first being slightly less connected, as while Bill is inside another old man, Dipper is also there struggling with self-worth issues, because why stay till the end of a sentence when you can have a miscommunication instead? But then he does listen and helps his family beat Bill. Then in the second episode, this ship really blew up, as Dipper is struggling to break into another person's laptop, ran out of attempts, and Bill offered him a deal, only to then immediately fuck him over by hijacking his body to demented results.
Boy, these arms are durable.
This is the real start of the Bill-Dip shipping craze. It sets up Bill as this antagonistic force in Dipper's life, and also opens the door for a litany of different dynamics that could be explored with the pairing, ignoring the age stuff, though it also plays into that as well. We'll get into it. From Bill being this possessive and controlling force in Dipper's life, putting this idea of control at the forefront of their hypothetical dynamic. Just going by the fan art and my professional opinion, it's giving Black Butler vibes, which was popular a few years before Gravity Falls came out, and based on the fan art and select fanfics I read, yeah, Bill Dip reminds me a lot of CLX Sebastian. Young child, demon that's taken an interest, all the power imbalances that come along with it, and more importantly, it carries into another pool that the ship is dabbling into, the Yandere. So we've already established that Bill's gonna have a rival, it's probably gonna be Dipper. That only explains why they might be interacting. You don't have a full reason for why a cosmic god would be, well, not beefing, but into this And the answer is like, okay, Bill's crazy, so might as well keep adding on to crazy and making it into an obsessive love, which is where the term yandere really comes in clutch. As for those who don't know, yandere is a Japanese term created to describe a character archetype of being overly loving and affectionate, with that love then spiraling into crazy. This is your School Days, Mirai Nikki, and Killing Stalking, which I haven't read, but I hear only terrible things, though that might be Corpse Party. There's a lot of these stories, okay? But it basically embodies someone who is obsessed over another person with that love and then turning into horrific actions. This was invented to describe the phenomena in manga and anime. But before you start judging, 50 Shades of Grey, 365 Days, Obsessed, Western Me also glorifies or fetishizes having a mentally unstable and dangerous lover as the fantasy of it. It appeals even when most everyone agreed they wouldn't want this in real life. But that's a secret again, the fantasy. There's a reason people love stories about kids who end up being the special cuz prophecy or some other thing that elevates them to being the center of the universe. We all love an ego boost, flight of fantasy, a form of escapism people like to indulge in. So yeah, taking a yandere angle is one of the easiest ways to explain Bill Dip, as it blends Bill being psychotic with the body possession and antagonism already being displayed towards Dipper. In show, Dipper isn't that special to Bill, he's just another obstacle, but in the world of Fannon and you're looking to ship them, this is an easy way to take them. And it works best here as it pretty much is the only avenue for this kind of ship in the show. I've mentioned Dipper x Mabel a couple times in this video, and while I mean it as a joke, it's like, oh, that's crazy, I'm like, no. I do think the real reason that's as popular as it is hints to a weird issue that Gravity Falls specifically faces when it comes to shipping. And that for a show with as many characters as it does, there isn't actually that many viable options when it comes to shipping Mabel or Dipper, as most of the supporting cast is either teens, adults, or one and dones. Gravity Falls doesn't have a huge amount of other kids to be shipped with, so people are gonna work with what they have, hence Pacifica being popular with either of the Pineses. So in the realm of fan creation, that desire that is so prevalent to take a piece of material to different places or expand upon essentially what it could be if the context in which it was presented is changed, the easiest popular couple to explore with those ideas is Bill x Dipper. As people are basic and judgy, there's a reason Dipper isn't shipped more with Mabel's friends, and it's that they don't fit the same idealized beauty standard as Pacifica. The easiest character to write abuse stories with would probably be Robbie, who is an actually shit boyfriend to Wendy. And here's the thing, he's not hot enough. He's a loser who isn't sympathetic like Lars, but mostly just an edgy douche. So if you're trying to explore some ideas in a show without any easy, hot options, what is a Fandom to do but to find a character who has the personality for it and say this is good, but what if he was tall, skinny, and hot?
How's this, Squidward?
It's beautiful.
Anthropomorphizing non-human characters is a tale as old as time, and when it comes to cartoons, it's basically the rule. Then because people like pretty things, them being hot is pretty much a given most of the time. Some say it's for clicks, others say shut up. Personally, I like to imagine that making a character hot is just an artist getting revenge on their paper for all the times they fucked up drawing a circle. But Bill being a triangle isn't the most shippable of shapes, so the idea of him taking on a more human appearance, he also has shape-shifting powers, easily made this a wildly popular idea of changing him into a twink. Some stopped at just giving him a body, others chose violence. Though from everything I've looked at, I swear the main inspo for most of these is either human Dipper. Because he possesses a body, he's gonna create a copy that's gonna be similar looking to him already, probably will be blonde because golden triangle, but if it's like a copy of Dipper, maybe him messing with him, maybe it's like, okay, we need like just based on what we already have. Yeah, that is very much an easy choice to make. But then we get into the other inspirations for Bill, and again, Sebastian, or biggest of all, Alistair from Has Been Hotel. Like, there's so much Alistair here. No shade, they're both presenters, I kinda get it, but it is still so funny to look back and say, oh yeah, you can clearly tell a lot of these artists got their inspiration from, and it does make it slightly more entertaining for me. Also, canonically, this is what human Bill looks like, because Alex Search saw the fan art, and he took it personally. But this pretty much is the final piece of the Bill puzzle. I think fan spaces in general are a celebration of a show and its chokehold over all of us. But you can only celebrate something so much before the creative desire to do something with it can lead to fan works. Which, and this is just a personal theory I've had for a while, I think fandoms for any media that is aimed at younger audiences, if you grew up with it, tend to breed fans who like to see an aged up version of the material, as if to buck off the idea that the show is limited by the constraints of being for all audiences. The fact that this show is about kids, it tugs at that sick part of us asking, like, what if things didn't go well? What if there was angst, edge, blood? So fanworks, while not destined to go this way, will at least have a minority that will skew that direction. So when it comes to shipping and looking for something a little messed up, a little scandalous, but divorced from real world implications, a further degree of separation, Bill X Dipper is the way people probably ended up going, as Bill's age is obfuscated by being a triangle. Kids don't see a grown man, they see a funny demon who is scary sometimes. And if it's not straight up Rule 34, I think most people who see fan art of this will just okay, won't think twice about it. Especially if in that version Dipper is aged up, which is kind of just the go-to way, trying to stay clear of trouble. Your take on that tactic might vary, but it is the easiest way to make something semi-kosher. I think the idea of build-up is very much tied to that hero versus villain dynamic that is just so popular in fiction. Yandere, huge, but I also think it also ties into the idea of fantasy. People love the idea of these kind of fey, magical creatures that tricksters, heart of gold, or maybe just terrifying and a little bit scary, with the human love interest being the thing that tethers them to semi-reality. There are so many stories about people falling in love with monsters that any idea that kind of touches upon that gets popular with a lot of people very quickly. We saw this with the Wish concept art, where the star in the movie was really just gonna be a human boy who can fly around, and people just ran with that idea. So people doing that with Bill doesn't surprise me. The concept of wonder being dragged along to new experiences is a very powerful escapist idea, but it doesn't change the fact that I do think that Bill, on its own, canonically in the show, runs into a lot of real world issues when it comes to actual power imbalances. We have Bill, this older figure who tricks and manipulates Dipper into getting access to his body. Just described that way, yeah, it does not sound good whatsoever. This idea could be expanded on further for just personal reasons, for shocking reasons. It's not great, but I can see why it's such an easy jump to make for this ship in particular. And I can understand why it'd be as popular as it is, as taking children's material darker is just huge in fanfic spaces. But, and here's the thing, fanfic spaces, this ship, they both aren't that popular.
Boom. Plot twist.
Yeah, this is the real dark secret why I kinda cackle at a lot of discourse about popularity polls or numbers of fics on AO3, as it doesn't really matter. The vast majority of fans who watched Gravity Falls did so without ever knowing that Bill X Dipper was a thing. The true judgment of something's popularity isn't actually based on the amount of chatter online that it has. People don't talk a lot about Avatar, the blue one, but everyone and their mother, grandparents, and kids go to see it when that movie drops. You may not talk about Kif a whole lot, but it is right now huge with young kids. It is Disney's biggest success. And I've given this example before, but Baldur's Gate. Just because the vampire Ruby is the most discussed character in the series doesn't mean he's the most picked love interest. He's only 4 or 5 when the game first came out. There is a difference between what is discussed versus what is experienced by most fans. People were kind of getting pissy over the fact that only male ships were the most visited ones on the shipping wiki, but it doesn't mean that those are the most popular. That only means that they're the most popular ships for people who visit the shipping wiki. Build It may be popular, but in the grand scheme of things, it's only a drop in the bucket of Gravity Falls' overall fandom, which I think is a caveat a lot of people need to hear before assuming an entire fandom is tainted for some reason or another, though that doesn't mean some fandoms don't have massive problems that need to be addressed. Also, I've prolonged this enough, let's talk about the age thing. Oh god, this is gonna be a headache. Yeah, Bill Cipher is a freak, but he's not that kind of freak. However, through the wonders of fandom, we ended up with a ship that involves characters who, in the show, would be considered a legal adult and a minor. Yes, kill me. Now, my actual take on this is not what most people expect, aka marginally nuanced. As you see, I can stand the fact that this ship exists. I don't ship it, but liking the idea of these two ending up together isn't the high crime the internet thinks it is. As to me, the question of how it's depicted is the biggest issue and always will be. If you age up Dipper, it can kind of exist in public. If it's not porn, if he's young, we gotta talk. I think the thing that allows this ship to have the runaway popularity that it has is that Bill is a triangle with a top hat. He's effectively an ageless fae, primarily a demon. When you look at him, you don't immediately clock the age difference, and him being an agent of chaos makes it so that fact can keep slipping under the radar, especially for the kids and fans who grew up with the show, which is where all my real grace extends to. As yes, liking characters from Teen Titans when you're older has sketchy optics, but everyone remembers their first cartoon crush, and that never really goes away. That element is always gonna be there even after it becomes problematic, and this is gonna come off as a shock, they're not real people. They're characters and symbols that are often whatever age you project onto them, which I often think is a thing that is obfuscated whenever people try and rake others over the coals with something that they made when they were like 13 or 15. I'm not pro-ranty ship, I don't fucking know what either of those things is, and I don't intend to, as that whole debacle screams terminally online to me. I don't think artists should be able to make and post anything they want without consequences, but I think the response should be proportional to the actual content being made. Personally, I think shipping and content about said ship is a case-by-case basis. Some are leaning into the age dynamic, which is problematic, while others are more enraptured by the archetypes and express it in a way that isn't worth getting mad about. And I say this as in 2024, we have so much real-world shit going on, with so many actually popular pieces of media with problematic elements that the story isn't properly addressing. That trying to crucify a couple of fan creators that are only big in incredibly niche parts of the internet is, to me, a gigantic waste of energy. And I think we as a society can be haters more productively. I don't ship Bill and Dipper, but I get why it exists and why it's as popular as it is. I'm not condoning some of the actual Pedialyte that comes out of this ship, but you can say that about most ships related to Dipper. You can say that about most ships related to cartoons. There's a weird element to this ship, but most of the stuff related to it is not a hanging offense. Alright guys, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you all for watching. This has been Sarcastic Chorus. If you haven't heard yet, the Animation Guild is currently negotiating a new contract and really need our help right now. The people who make the cartoons you love have been underpaid and overworked and are now being replaced by AI, so yeah, they need a new deal right now. So if you can, I hope you all lend your support, keep making noise, spread the hashtag #StayingWithAnimation, and let the world know that you don't just like cartoons, but you also support the ones who make it. Love you all. Peace out.